In 1990, Western leaders met with then Premier of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, to come to a negotiation about the reunification of Germany. In there, NATO said, and they promised, that they would not expand the organization beyond where it was. And one of the big conditions, one of the things that the Soviet Union was concerned about was having a NATO ally right on their border, especially one like Germany. Well, now archives that have been released and some stuff that have come out from the Freedom of Information Act showed that the United States and its allies lied to the Soviet Union. Researchers from the respected George Washington University-based National Security Archive, which specializes in obtaining key classified information from the government, have put together 30 crucial documents that clearly show several top Western officials vowing to Gorbachev in unison that NATO would not expand eastward. Some of these have been publicly available for several years. Others have been revealed as a result of a Freedom of Information request for the study. The USSR sat down with the UK, France, and the United States to talk about to negotiate a reunification treaty, and it was signed at the six-party talks in that September. And the Soviet Union was told that a unified Germany would not end up being a threat to the USSR. In February, George H.W. Bush's Secretary of State, James Baker, assured his Soviet counterpart, Eduard Shevardnadze, that in a post-Cold War Europe, NATO would no longer be belligerent. Less of a military organization, more of a political one, would have no need for independent capability. Now, on February 10, 1990, the future Chancellor of Germany, Helmut Kohl, told the Soviet Union, specifically Gorbachev, the same thing. We believe that NATO should not expand the sphere of its activity. We have to find a reasonable resolution. I correctly understand the security interests of the Soviet Union, and I realize that you, Mr. General Secretary, and the Soviet leadership will have to clearly explain what is happening to the Soviet people. Now, as we well know, this was an absolute lie. That promise lasted only up until 1997, when Poland, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and others entered into an alliance. Eventually, there would be 13 European states that would become NATO members since the dissolution of the dismantling of the Soviet Union. Now, NATO and top Western officials have always claimed that there never was any promise not to expand NATO, and they have maintained that for decades, that there was no such guarantee to the Soviets. Well, these archives prove that there very well was. They were telling the Soviet Union, don't worry, we won't engage in a military expansion in order to forward peace and to have a reunification of Germany. This has since then been lamented by many leaders of what is now Russia, including Vladimir Putin himself. And I tend to think that Gorbachev really is an idiot. Because how would you trust, or why would you ever trust the United States to not militarily expand? Of course it's going to militarily expand. It always does. And for the rest of its existence, it always will. That's kind of like leaving your child in the care of Roy Moore and Roy Moore promising that he won't do anything to it. Of course they are. And there has to come a point where there's some kind of personal responsibility of the choices made by the parties involved that are just simply irresponsible. Gorbachev was absolutely irresponsible and frankly downright stupid to trust the United States on this matter, saying that they would not expand NATO. But this does give a little bit more clarity to some moment in history where NATO said that it would not expand its military capabilities if some kind of peaceful agreement for the reunification of Germany could be reached.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.